I graduated in 36, and in 37, it was in the rough times, if you remember. And my father says, I can't afford to keep all you kids at home. There was 5 of us. And so I raised my hand, and I said, I'll leave. And I packed a suitcase, and one of those cardboard suitcases. And my father says, I would suggest you hitchhike and go to Waterloo, Iowa. That's a manufacturing town. You might be able to find a job there. So that's what I did. I left and went to Waterloo, Iowa, picked up a newspaper, but I couldn't find any ads in it. I did find an ad, cattle and eggs at Cedar Falls, which is just north of Waterloo along the river. So I went up there and I got a job canning eggs, 10 cents an hour. And I got me a room in a rooming house. I had trouble living on that, of course. I found out if you put the egg above the light bulb when you're canning, pretty soon if you turn it a few times, it becomes a boiled egg. So I lived on boiled eggs for a long time. And I just despise boiled eggs. She makes boiled eggs, I let her know it right now.
I lived in a small town in Illinois, and I had 3 girlfriends that everybody knew everybody else, and we were very active in the Methodist church, and they put on plays and things, and I was a skinny, ugly little thing with heavy black curly hair, and the minister's son wouldn't leave me alone. He was 3 years older than I. And so then they had this play, they had me sing, When the Moon Comes Over the Mountain. Now, don't ask me to sing because I can't sing. But it was a wonderful life, and my father was a wonderful man, but I lost him. And then when my mother, I had a grandmother that I adored, and I would spend my summers with her in Macomb. And then when I moved to Omaha, I was sophomore in high school and didn't know anyone, and it was hard to get acquainted. But I did well in school. It was important to me. I always made the honor roll, and this young man, I don't know why they liked this skinny. I was always embarrassed because I was so skinny. And he wouldn't leave me alone. And he would get off work and come and take me home from school. And he would always take my little silver button that I got for being on the honor roll and put on his lapels.
My father had always told me, see the world when you're young, and that's what I wanted to do. I started to work in 1939 for John Deere. I came down to Omaha, Nebraska, and went down to the John Deere branch and looking for work, and they said, well, come to work Monday. I first started sweeping floors, and then I went into working in the shop and repairing magnetos, carburetors. I learned to do that on 39 cents an hour. That's what I was getting. And in November, I got the check, and everybody was talking. They got a nickel raise, but I didn't get one. So I went up to the office to find out why. They said, well, you was the last one hired, and we was going to lay you off. But 2 of the fellows got in a fight on a freight elevator, and we fired them, and we're keeping you. So there was an angel watching over me. And I got my nickel raise, and I worked for John Deere and started traveling for them, and area service manager, traveled all over Nebraska and Iowa and Kansas and South Dakota. And I really enjoyed my work, and I spent the rest of my life working for John Deere. And since then, I've been to every state, including Hawaii and Alaska, and I've been in every continent except Antarctica, just seeing how things grow and live. And I don't care to see the big cities, Paris or that. I'd rather see the common people. To give you an example, the first time I seen bananas growing, and everybody loves bananas, but how many have ever seen the banana blossom before it produces the fruit? It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It's a velvety, bluish purple velvet. It's really beautiful and purple. In New Guinea, I'd find wild bananas growing, and I had a stalk of bananas, taking it up to my tent on a little trail in the jungle. And I met a native with his bones in his ear and his nose and all. And they were little short bananas about that long. He pointed at him and says, "Poison," that's all he could speak, "poison." So I throwed him on the side, and I went on my way, turned around and looked back. Here he was carrying them off. He outsmarted me. He's a jungle man, but he outsmarted me.
My first husband had a stroke in 1978, and he was paralyzed, and I brought him home, and I took care of him. I did not have visiting nurses or anything, but I took care of him for 15 years. And when he passed away, I was alone for 5 years, but I had women friends that we traveled together. And when his stepson had this party, we were the first two people there, and I didn't think he paid any attention to me, and I didn't know anyone, and the party was on their deck. And I thought, oh, I'm kind of bored, and I was reading a novel, so I went down the deck back to my yard. I didn't even think he knew I existed, but he called and asked me out to dinner. Well, I did not want to get married. I was happy. It's easy for a woman. She's doing the same things anyway. But for some reason, I went out to dinner with him. People wanted to fix me up. One man wanted me to meet his father, and I'd say I was sick or I'm going out of town. Well, this got pretty serious, and I could see it was, and he would call every day and want to come over. We didn't know if we had 3 weeks, 3 months, or 3 years together because we were old. So finally I said, Paul, I have a cabin in Minnesota, and I'm going up there, and I also have a little guest house. We go up there together, and maybe we can see how we rub each other. I even got him into a bathing suit, and he's afraid of the water. But we went up there, and he bought my diamond ring. Now, he tells everyone that I kept walking him across the jewelry store.
You did. She even told me that the manager would give him a discount.
And so he gave me my diamond ring, and I called my daughter, my oldest daughter, and I said, I don't know what to do. I told you this young man, this man that's been taking me out to dinner, and I said, he's given me a diamond ring. She didn't say anything for a long time. She says, Mom, if you were one of my kids, I'd say you better wait, but I think you can make it right. She says, well, she was wrong. I couldn't. We went to the church, and we said, well, we've only known each other for 3 months, and we really don't know what. Oh, that's nothing. My parents only knew each other for 4 months. So he married us. We were married in the church chapel, and it was just family and real close friends. And then we had a luncheon across the street at the Market Basket. But
that's pretty much right.
oh, they're so much better than I think they could give me advice, but they've all been very, it was never if you go to college, it was when you go to college. And they've all been through college. My youngest daughter was a doctor in Ohio and in Florida. And my son was a teacher in Lincoln, and then he finally gave it up and worked for the government. And my oldest daughter taught until she had 4 children, and then she's a woman that gets her intelligence from her father. She had 3 scholarships when she graduated from high school. And then she found out I was pregnant, so she wouldn't take him. She went to Omaha U. She saved me a lot of money. She joined the Coyotes. She was happy. So my other 2 daughters went to Omaha U. And they're all successful. They have nice homes. I have 17 grandchildren, and they're all wonderful. And I hear from them. And I don't think there's any advice. I think they got it when they were young.